So, what to do when you're feeling anxious? Anxiety is one of the main problems that we have right now as a society, mostly Gen Z and my generation raising up with internet, with social media. We are raised with comparison with other people in the brain all the time, and also with FOMO, fear of missing out, which makes us feel anxiety all day, every day. It's basically just going around, and when 100 years ago, 20 years ago, even 30 years ago, you were just comparing yourself and your life situation with maybe your your neighbor or your brother or your friend or people around you. Right now you have 15 years old guys comparing themselves to American guys that at 16 or 14 years old they are billionaires. They created amazing things. They are artists. You always find someone who's better than you on the internet, and so we have this performance based and numbers based society that makes us feel anxious all the time. And it's not that good. It's not that good. Depression and anxiety are the two main problems of our generation, and social media is not helping that much. I mean, they are good instruments, good tools if we learn how to use them properly, but at the same time it's really hard, and it's really easy to fall into those traps. And also there is a thing called bad faith. Basically, right now we are one of the the freest generation ever, generally, in terms of society, in terms of human beings. But this amount of choices we can make are actually making people anxious about making the right choice. You are always worried that whenever you make a choice, you sacrifice all the other opportunities, which brings to FOMO, which with social media, as I told you, you always have a fear of missing out on something. You never know what's the right choice, and so what other people do is basically people just pick an authority or someone else and just make them choose for them. So they basically give up their freedom in order to feel better and not feel anxious. But today I just want to say how to fix this. Well, first of all, if you need to contact somebody like an expert, first thing you should do. But if you want to try to do something on yourself, you need to understand a couple of things. First of all, there are no right choices. There is no right choice. Each path is unique. So whenever you sacrifice something, you actually choose your path, and it's okay that you didn't choose something else because it wouldn't be your path. This is your world. This is your path. This is your experience. And so it's okay. Actually, when you sacrifice something, it means you're committing to something else. So you need to learn to appreciate your own path and commit to something. And the other thing is that we learn to understand that our experience of life is totally in our hands. It happens from within. So every time that you experience something, somebody else with the same experience would actually experience it differently. So it's all from within, depending on your conditioning, your thoughts, your emotions. Somebody can experience the same circumstance with something, and another person can experience it totally differently. So basically what I'm trying to say is that our way of seeing and responding to things, it's totally within us. We just need to learn to take charge and change the way we think about things. If we change the way we think about things, we change the emotions that we have when thinking that thing. And when we change the emotions, we change the way we act. And if we change the way we act, we change the results. And so if you want to learn to be less anxious, you need to start working on becoming more conscious and less compulsive. which means you need to practice meditation, which means you need to practice internally. Also, why? You need to understand that everything that we are talking about right now, it's all happening in your head, in your own creation. But in your head, what happens is just that you identified with it. That's the whole problem. You identified with what you think it's you in your head. But if you learn to understand that that's just an accumulation of your impression, that's just your karma, that's just your ego, your persona you created, that's just thoughts. It's a matter of survival. Your brain, your mind is there to make you survive better, but sometimes it also sabotages you because it just wants you to keep it safe. But sometimes you don't need to be safe. You are safe, but you are acting because of trauma, of fear-based beliefs and other things, and you need to just let them go. And because these things makes you afraid and anxious. And while you're anxious, it means you're suffering something that it's in your head, in your own creation, but it's not in the real creation. It's just in your head. You need to let go and go outside from your inner creation, your own creation, to the real creation, seeing things as they are. Not magnified in your head, but just as they are. Because if you are present and learn to let go and detach from the concept, the identification with your mind, you see that your body and your mind are just a wrong identification. They are not you. They are something you gathered, but they're not you. You are that witness, the silent witness behind that, beyond that. You're there, just the presence, just the life that gathers these things, the subject, almost, as if you want to say it. Then you can leave all these mind things, mind nonsense, just there. And if it's there, you're out of that, you can consciously change it in order to make it helpful and not auto-sabotaging. So meditation and all these inner practices, gratitude, being, breathing, all these things help to learn to make some little distance from that. Because anxiety only means that you are stuck, not in real life, but in your head. Actually, in your imagination. Your mind is purely, basically data, collecting and just going and playing in past, which is basically just your memory, and future, which is just your imagination. And anxiety means that you're stuck in your imagination. You're suffering things that are not there and that maybe will not happen in the future, but they might happen. So you're afraid and suffer things that are not even there. If you look around you and be present and go outside of your mind, you see there's nothing to suffer. It's just all in your head. So creating some distance between you and your mind, you and your imagination, you and your wrong identifications, that's the first step. So awareness and becoming more conscious. If you take some distance, you become more conscious, and so you can respond to circumstances differently in order to substitute the fear-based patterns with love-based patterns that are helpful for your growth. And so if you would choose, you will not, of course, choose anxiety. You choose anxiety only because you don't know what you're doing. You're just compulsive about how your head works. So that's it. If you have any questions, you can DM me on Instagram or you can leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching, guys.